Hey, what's up everybody? This is Supermark501 and today I want to show you guys a Moze build for Mayhem 10 and the Guardian Raid Takedown. Now this is a very strong build and the Guardian Raid Takedown was just nerfed today, so they nerfed the health of pretty much all the enemies in the raid. Even though they still didn't go far enough with nerfing the enemies in the raid, they are a bit less tanky, so it is a bit easier to go through, and this build is still one of the strongest builds for it. So with all that being said, we can go into the talents. Now this is a rocket launcher and grenade splash build with pretty much infinite ammo. So the first trooper going in is Bottomless Mags. First cloud of lead every 4 shot does extra incendiary damage and does not consume ammo. We have a Stoke the Embers, increase incendiary damage by 30%. All of our damage will deal extra incendiary damage and this increases that. Redistribution, when you crit, which our rocket launchers and grenades can crit, we get ammo regeneration and health regeneration, which just helps us stay alive a bit more. Scrappy, which is mainly for the 30% weapon damage, 5 into scorching RPMs, fire rate, critical damage, Iron Bear damage. Iron Bear actually does do a decent bit of damage for this build. Then 1 is Specialist Bear, so when your bear is using both the same weapons, it does 60% increased damage, which we do. Then one of the most important talents, Some for the Road. After you exit Iron Bear, you have 5 seconds of infinite ammo for your weapon. And for the weapons for Iron Bear, we are using miniguns with exploding bullets. This is super good because it synergizes well with pretty much everything we're building into, which is splash damage. It can proc our means of destruction, which is another talent we'll go into, to give us ammo back. It heals itself with all that damage. All it just synergizes really nicely. So second trooper going into is Demolition Woman. First fire in the Skag Den, all of our explosive damage or splash damage now deals extra incendiary damage. So all of our damage deals that on top. Then we have increases to that. A big damage increase. Means of destruction, whenever you deal splash damage, this also goes for your Iron Bear. It can proc this talent as well. You have a chance to get grenades back and ammo back into your magazine, which makes us pretty much never have to reload a rocket launcher. 5 into Torque Cross Promotion has a chance to double our splash radius and gives us increased splash damage. Pull the Holy Pin lets our grenades crit. Auto Bear, which is the main thing our Iron Bear is used for, so it can stay out, it can deal some decent damage, and it can keep proccing means of destruction for us. Vampire, which is our main survivability. Pretty much when you throw out grenades, it heals you. Your Iron Bear will get heals off this as well, but mainly it's for you because your Iron Bear really won't die in the amount of time it's out. Explosive Punctuation, when you do splash damage, which is everything, your action skill cooldown rate is increased by 40%, so that's pretty much up all the time. Then we have Short Fuse. This is a very strong talent with this build. Whenever you hit something with your gun damage, there's a chance for a secondary explosion to happen at the target, dealing 75% of the damage, which since you're using a rocket launcher, dealing massive hits, this proccing will just do another massive hit. Then for our last points, we want Shield Retribution for some gun damage or damage reduction when your shields are active. And the last point is just Drowning in Brass, just to give us some stacking gun damage increase. So that is all of our talents, and now we can go into our items. Now, like I said, we are doing a rocket launcher and grenade build, and the rocket launcher of choice for this build is the Backburners. These are incredibly strong. They now are much easier to farm for Mayhem 10 because they actually drop correctly, and they do just really good damage over time, and they're just overall, and they hit a lot of different times. So for our different procs, for splash damage, our means of destruction, stuff like that, they're very good, and they shoot decently quickly and just do a ridiculous amount of damage. So overall, they're really good. Now I think the best anointed for this build now is going to be after exiting Iron Bear, get 160% increased splash damage for 18 seconds. So that's just 160% increased damage overall from all of our damage. I think this is going to be the best anointed for this build now, since the 300% anointed was pretty heavily nerfed. So that's for the launcher. I am mainly using the corrosive version of this because we pretty much go fully into corrosive damage with this build. You can use any other elements. I would definitely recommend getting it because I do have some of the other elements for Backburners, but I mainly use corrosive. Now for our shield mod, I'm using the Old God. I think it's the best shield still because it gives that 20% corrosive damage increase. It gives elemental damage resistance, and it has a really big capacity. Now if you don't have one of these, just get any other tanky shield. That's going to do with any of the on action skill and elemental damage anointeds. These are super strong with this build because you're constantly getting your action skill back and exiting your iron bear, so you're constantly having these proc. I have corrosive on this one. On our grenade, I have shock on it. Make sure you don't stack the same anointed elemental effect on these or they won't work. Make sure to do different ones. And our grenade, again, with these type of builds, with explosive Moze builds, means of destruction, cloning, maddening trackers are the absolute best grenades in the game that I know of still. They just hit so many times, they heal you a ton, they proc your means of destruction a lot, so they're pretty much the best grenade in the game. They're just really hard to get, and this is pretty much the only one I have. I'm glad I did get at least one anointed on it. Probably for the new raid, the incinerary anointed would probably be better for most of the raid. This is the only one I have, so it has shock on it, which is still pretty good. If you can't get this grenade, try to trade for it. I don't even know what other grenades are decent for this build because a lot of them just aren't that great. For the class mod, we are using the sapper now. Can help with this build, but mainly we're using the sapper because it rolls means of destruction. It can only roll up to 3, which is what I have, which is pretty important for this build to be able to constantly have grenades, never run out of them, and constantly never have to reload your rocket launcher. So 3 on that, 2 into Iron Bank, which is increased magazine size. That can help. Getting increased magazine size can help with this build specifically because once you go into Iron Bear and get out, which you do all the time, you have that 5 seconds of infinite ammo. And even if your magazine isn't full, you can still be filling up that magazine with your splash damage. So when your infinite ammo ends, you have that 9 ammo or however much ammo you have a full magazine to be able to use without having to worry about reloading. And that's probably going to be the best talent rolls on this item. Means destruction is a good roll. The other rolls on it aren't very good. Now for the rolls on this, also for the special on this, Moze gains up to 12% lifesteal the longer she holds down the fire button, the greater the lifesteal. This should give you some amount of lifesteal without like holding down the button a lot. But if you don't know with back burners, you actually don't have to let off the trigger and it will keep firing. So it should actually keep this proc a decent bit of the time. I have really good rolls on this one. 28% weapon damage, the heavy damage increase, and the weapon charge speed. This is super good for this build. I don't know if I could get any better. There might be some better combos, but pretty good rolls overall. For our artifact, this is the reason, one of the main reasons we're using corrosive, because killing things with corrosive damage increases your corrosive damage, stacking up 5 times. It's over 100% damage, and that's a massive damage increase. That makes it better to use a corrosive weapon with 5 stacks of corrosive than it is to use the best element for whatever you're fighting. Then I have the victory rush on this, which is probably the best. When you kill a badass, you get movement speed and damage, always good. On this, I have pretty decent rolls. I think I get a little bit better because of magazine size, you really don't need for this build, but I have heavy damage, magazine size, corrosive damage, so pretty good. The magazine size could probably roll to something different to be a bit better. And that is pretty much the entirety of the build. It is a really good rolled version of this build because I have most of the best rolls. It is pretty strong. I still think for having a lot of the best rolls, this build, or Moze in particular, is a little bit weak compared to a lot of the other Vault Hunters and a lot of the other top tier builds, but it can still do everything pretty well. So subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands 3 content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this build, and thanks for watching.
Witness the Agonizer 9000!